Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the midweek meditation service. My name is Santisha, and I'm the spiritual leader here, and I'm filling in for Jack and Norma tonight. They're out of town. They're in Boston with my entire family, and somehow I'm here. It's just really been kind of a weird feeling. I was like, I kind of feel left out, but I guess I am the spiritual leader, so that's how that works. It's okay. It's good. I'm happy to be here. So I'm going to start the service, I think, the way that my mom does, with chanting. To sing, they say to sing is to pray twice. We can't really hold on to our problems of our day or in our life when we're singing. It leaves us, and it brings us into the presence of this higher consciousness that we all are. Awakening to the idea that we know that we're spiritual beings first, having a human experience. And when we can remember that and rely on that, we have a much more joyful and peaceful life. So I'm going to be singing Ang Namo, it's a Sanatam Kar song. And the first part I'll just sing, and then when it's time to start repeating, Larry will be the response. And we thank Larry Morrison for being here to accompany me. I appreciate you being here tonight. And Steve is on the sound, and I want to welcome everybody on live stream that's joining us. And let's just get into the presence and allow the singing to bring us into the state of peace.
Sitting on the water before time and space. This is your way. This is your grace. And I'm coming home. 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 And I'm coming. And I'm coming home. Om Namo Gurudeva Namo. Om Namo Gurudeva Namo. coming home to you.
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 Om Namo.
Let's just sing it together.
Gurudev Namo.
Om Namo Gurudev Namo.
Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om
Namo Gurudev Namo.
Lotus sitting on the water, beyond time and space. This is your way. This is your grace.
3 ohms. So it is. Beautiful singing. Now I think we've left the world outside those doors. Come into the presence. So I'm going to start with a reading from a book called Answering the Call of the Soul by Paul Farini, who's one of my favorite authors. It's about how suffering transforms our consciousness and our experience of the world. And I'm going to get some glasses on for this part. When the young Gautama left his father's palace, he was shocked to see human misery. Having been protected all his life and kept safe within the palace walls, he had never witnessed hunger, poverty, disease, cruelty, inequality, or injustice. Entering the world beyond the palace was for him a huge awakening. Now that he saw how others lived, Gautama soon realized that seeking pleasure and avoiding pain could no longer satisfy him, and indeed created a disturbing disconnection between himself and the humans who lived outside the palace gates. So he left the palace and retreated into the forest, where he practiced various forms of austerity. Like other spiritual seekers, he sought to bring pain onto himself so that he could learn to transcend it. In time, he found that these practices simply made his soul contract, and did not bring him closer to spiritual understanding or intimacy with others. Like Gautama, all of us sooner or later encounter pain. Even if we have been protected by our parents, we experience some form of wounding as we journey into the world. Some of us are wounded in utero or in early childhood, others are wounded later. Yes, no matter what your specific story is, the reality is that suffering, the experience of pain and hardship, is a universal phenomenon. You can deny your pain, but denial is only a temporary fix. The pain is just pushed inward, where it lurks in the shadows of the psyche. It is only a matter of time before it erupts, and when it does, it can devastate a life built in denial. In time, like Gautama, we have to encounter our pain and that of others and begin a lifelong journey of healing that takes us through all the highs and lows of our human experience. So, I'm thinking on this topic because I usually speak on the current of what I'm coming in contact with through the counseling that I do all day, and I've been doing a lot more counseling in the last 6 or 7 months. And I really believe that we're all facing our wounding, awakening to the best parts of ourselves, and we have to heal these pockets of life that are pulling this divine power away from us as we are all stepping in to this transformation that's happening in this world, and it's coming from within us. But as we look out in the world, we do see a lot of suffering and a lot of misery, a lot of deceit, a lot of structures that are crumbling. And as those structures are crumbling, so are parts of ourselves that are no longer serving what is the most empowering thing that needs to awaken in us. So in my own personal life, one of my best friends from high school lost her husband to cancer a few days before Easter and is beyond devastated. Found her soulmate 10 years ago. She was really unlucky in love all these years, and she had found this wonderful partner. They soaked up and squeezed the love out of life in the time that they were together. But the loss is so beyond. And that's another energy that I'm giving a lot of energy to when I'm outside of my work. And we just put on a massive Easter production, which, if you came to it, I'm sure you see the amount of hours it takes to put on productions with choirs and soloists and bands, and we're living here day and night. And about 3 weeks before Easter, my mom got news that her older sister was very sick and probably didn't have a few days to live, and there was no way we could go back to see her because we had this production we were putting on. We couldn't leave it. And I just put out to the universe, please let her make it till after Easter so I can take my mom back to Florida to say goodbye. And she did last. So the second Easter was over, she and I headed to Florida to go and be with my Aunt Jean. And talk about coming out of exhaustion, and now I'm with my mom, who really can't fly at this age by herself and stuff. And so I was heading back to a family that I haven't seen in, 8 or 10 years. There's a lot of family trauma with my mom and her sisters. They grew up in show business and were performers on the radio in Syracuse, New York, and they really didn't have childhoods, and they were really pitted against each other to be competitive towards each other all the time, and it just created this agonizing relationship between these three women. And I've observed it my whole life, and there's so much abusive interaction with them and their kids and the way they see us because of how their mom sees my mom. It's just, it's like going into a war zone, to be totally honest. I was not totally excited. I wanted to see my aunt because I love her, I love them, but I knew I was going as the Libra of this family. I'm the peacemaker. I'm the child that's I'm the middle child that gets the fun stuff, right? They're all flying in Boston, and they're there for Robert Kennedy Jr. announcing that he's running for president today, because my brother is his spiritual advisor, Dell. And I'm here. So I got to drive Miss Daisy out to Florida last week. That was my big exciting moment while they're having this explosive moment. And I was feeling a little bit like a victim today about it. And I realized that's the dynamic I've had in my family, that they just have so much faith in me that they can just leave me behind a lot. And it's okay. Like, I realized that's my role. But while I was back in Florida, so many miracles happened. I watched healings happen in these relationships that I have never seen them break through. And it was because of the discord and the trial of facing somebody leaving their lifetime, right? Are we going to leave this relationship unhealed, right? For this beautiful sister to move on and pass over into the light. And to watch Spirit in action, because that was my prayer that was preceding us. Please show me a miracle. Show me that this really exists, that a miracle can happen for these three sisters, that they can find, because they fight this hard because they love each other that hard too, you know? So everybody's older now. Everybody's softened more. Everybody had an ability to listen more. And it was a beautiful thing to witness. And I'll cherish that trip for the rest of my life, that I got to witness such a powerful coming together. You know, that it's never too late to heal, right? Everybody in this situation, 70s and 80s, it's never too late. It's just a matter of choice. Do we want to hold on to our stories of limited thinking and limited judgments of others and casting the stones where we have stones in our own experiences, in our own eyes? Is it more important for us to be right, or is it more important for us to be peaceful? That's the one my dad always would say growing up, and I always hear my dad always saying that one. Is it more important to be right, or is it more important to be peaceful? So I always say that ignorance is bliss sometimes. You know, for those who don't step into a spiritual life, they're not held accountable on the same level as people that have stepped into their spiritual life. When we've stepped in and realized that we are co-creators, that we are a divine part of the collaboration that creates peace and light and life in our own lives and in others, that we can no longer walk by suffering and not want to try to heal others and ourselves. When you decide to step into a spiritual and conscious life, you can't unsee the suffering of the world and not keep stepping into the transforming of the world in our own minds. We can't keep burying our heads in the sand when we have tasted the elixir of spirituality in action. And we seek to find peace in the face of duality and troubles. But those who are ignorant to the power that lives within them can stay stuck and live in the observations of everything happening to them instead of happening for them. Tribulation is a part of the journey. We don't grow when things are all flowing. Our deep growth happens when we're stopped in pain, when we are stopped in sadness, when we move through grief, when we go through breakups and we have heartbreaks. This is part of the spiritual condition of this human experience. And nobody ever gets to move through that life without that being a part of, an integral part. Spiritually speaking, I feel that I've had lots of trials and tribulations this lifetime. Lots of loss, lots of deaths, divorces, not one, two. You know, and I wouldn't change any of it. Can you look back at all those trials and tribulations of the past and find the miracle or the growth that happened in your soul's development as you went through those experiences, and the spiritual being that evolved and grew and came out of that? And you look back and you almost can't recognize that person that was in that abusive relationship or in that job that you hated and you thought you never could find something better. Then you finally leave it and your whole world unfolded and everything was abound in abundance, right? To look back is helpful because to give reference and reverence to the difficult stuff, it makes us more, I think it builds a deepening of faith so that when we're facing new obstacles, that we step in deeper faith and we don't avoid it like many of us would avoid things for years because it's too hard to face the trial or the tribulation that's ahead of us. And when we moved through it, there was all the bliss and the beauty that we were seeking. If we don't waver around and kind of resist this stepping in, we can move through it a lot quicker and move into this light being that we're meant to be, this peaceful being that we were meant to be. So, when we are around people that still believe that the world is out to get them and not for them, it makes things a little tricky as spiritual beings on this earth. Because we still have to interact with family, with bosses, or we're the boss, or employees. We still have children. We have all walks of life around us, and we can't just isolate ourselves into spiritual groups where it's just bliss, harmony, and kumbaya, right? We still have the interactions with the pains, the brokenness of others, the projections of others. And we discover that we can't change that in people. The only one that we can ever change is ourselves. And not even necessarily change ourselves if we're facing something with a lot of love and a lot of peace. But to step in from that awakened state of compassion. When we realize that we're having judgment thrown at us, or discord, or just plain lies. They've made up stories in their head about something you're not. To be able to look at them from this eagle point of view of compassion. To know what that feels like, to live in that kind of tribulation, of judgment, and of a lack of forgiveness, and a lack, because all of that comes from a lack of self-love. And all we can do is step into the presence of this love being that we are, and maybe it will heighten their vibration in some way. It might bring them to want to match your vibration, and they may emulate it, and they may not. And it's really important that we can really learn to stay in peace, even in the eye of the storm, when it's circling us and it feels like it's coming at us from many directions. This time in April is the illuminating of light. The light is returning. And many of you have probably recognized, and this is an astrological time in April right now of this year, that if you look back for the last 7 months, they've been very difficult. And April is the beginning of the breakthrough. So there's probably a sense that you're getting a greater breath. You're finally getting a sense of rest. And there's actually some high highs, where it really hasn't been any high highs. There's been kind of it's just been kind of moving on like, gosh, when is this cycle going to end? Well, it's happening now. It's beginning now. It's not completely there. So there's some high highs, and there's still some low lows. But at least we're getting both, where there was kind of just a stagnating energy that was culminating something in us, building faith in us to keep marching forward, to keep marching towards this something we know is unfolding for our lives. So it's a really important time to be really clear about what you want. This is now when these seeds that you've been planting for these last 7 months are seeding. The rain is falling on them, and the sun is sending its rays on them. So really be clear of what that planting is. Is it about a new career? Is it about finding your lover at this point? Is it about finding your purpose? Or just a good one of just, I want to be joyful. Finding your laughter again, finding your smile. I noticed when I came out here, humor is a really big one for me to keep me in a happy, healthy place, because people don't really come to counseling because things are going well in their lives. So I tend to watch a lot of news bloopers on computer and just stupid things that are just crack me up. And everybody's like, you're always laughing the opposite, but that's how I recalibrate my vibration back to this high place. And I set this whole stage up earlier today to prepare tonight. And when I walked out to the meditation today, this thing was sitting here. And this thing is the funniest thing. This thing was donated for an auction for a fundraiser to the church, which it didn't sell, as you can imagine. This is like the ugliest thing on the planet. And it's just been this funny joke in our office because we can't get rid of it. Also, it's broken. It's even like got a cracked neck. So like, this is going to pay the bills, okay? And so like this thing's become this iconic thing for like the last 4 years where we make it appear in random places, right? So my husband clearly thought, I'll just stick it right next to her so when she walks out. So I got a tickle right when I walked out because there it is. This is my husband representing humor, right? We also have this bell in the bookstore that will go off when you open the door to the bookstore so we know somebody's entered. And you can plug it in each other's offices, so we tend to just appear. So this big bell just goes off in their office when the door opens out there. And so we just have all these little funny things we do, just always little, and it's important to stay childlike and play, really and truly. In the Bible it says we have to become like little children to really know God. It's to find our humor again. What makes us giggle? What really, gets our funny bone and not take it all so seriously. Coming back into expecting joy and happiness to be a part of all of it. So even though we have people that can be difficult in our lives, the goal as spiritual warriors is to be the presence of love in the world. Not just in the places that have harmony and the mirroring of the good you are giving out, but also with those that shake you, judge you, and mistreat you even. This is where the true spiritual practice is planted and sustained. Can you stay in the eye of the storm when you are in the presence of discord, in the presence of anger, in the presence of ugly behavior from others? I'm going to read another passage from this same book. I know these glasses are a sign of weakness. I'm working on healing my eyes. Okay. The story of human suffering, yours and mine, is vividly portrayed in the Old Testament. Job is a favorite son of God. He keeps all of the laws. He does what God wants him to do to the best of his ability. Yet he meets a cruel fate. His family is taken from him. His health is destroyed. He suffers one form of distress after the other. Yet Job never loses his faith. Somewhere in his heart of hearts, he knows that God loves him and wants the best for him, even though all of the outward signs suggest that God is punishing him and that perhaps he deserves it. Job does not buy in. He knows that he is innocent, Like our brother Job, we too are innocent. God does not want to punish us or make us suffer. Sometimes when we look at how we are being attacked by others or how our lives are falling apart, it is hard for us to believe that we are innocent and that God is on our side. But lest we find our faith and connect with our innocence as Job did, we will become a casualty of life. We will become convinced that we are bad, that we deserve to be punished, and we will live in misery as victims. If you are going to stop living in victim consciousness, here are a few recognitions you must cultivate. Like Job, you must know that you are not bad and you are not unworthy. You may be confused, you may have made a mistake, but your mistakes do not define you unless you refuse to learn from them. If you have made a mistake, you must take responsibility for it. You must not blame it on anyone else, or you will not be able to correct it. 2, God does not want to punish you. God wants you to understand yourself and others more deeply. God wants you to be a more sensitive and compassionate human being. Some things happen to wake you up and open your heart. That is not a punishment. Sometimes you may be asked to release an attachment or let go of something you no longer need. That is not a punishment. Shiva, the god of destruction, does not come to punish you, but to set you free. Oh, I love that. And 3, if you believe that God, life, or the universe is punishing you, or if you believe that your pain or your suffering is anyone else's responsibility, then you're choosing to live as a victim. Victims give their power away. They do not learn their lessons. They do not forgive themselves or others. They do not grow. They do not rebound from challenges or adversity. They live in the past. They refuse to let go, die, and be reborn, which is a lot of us just did that through the death and resurrection of Christ through Easter. And 4, all this is about you. It is not about anyone else. Your suffering is your responsibility, not anyone else's. When you accept responsibility for the contents of your consciousness, you take back your power. You become able to learn and to grow. You become capable of transforming your relationship to yourself and the world. It's not fun to have to take all that responsibility. But it's the truth that will set us free. What a beautiful thing, though, because then we hold in our very hand the answers to our healing, the answers to our prayers, the answers from our meditations, the answers from our decrees. So I'm going to take you into a guided meditation that I did not write on my own. It was written by Mooji, Mooji. He's a beautiful guru. Discovered his work from a funeral that I did a few months ago, and the gentleman that I was doing the celebration of life for, he was a big follower of this person, and they gave me a bunch of quotes that this Mooji had written, and I just thought, my God, beautiful material, really beautiful. So this is a meditation that he wrote. So I'm just going to ask us just to get comfortable and get our back straight. Those pews are really not conducive for a meditational seat. You can sit with your feet up on it. We also have meditation pillows up front if you want to sit on the floor. You're welcome to lay down on them. But to not let the back rest hold your back be probably best. And I'm going to do a breathing exercise with you. This is a breathing exercise that can take us from panic or anxiety or stress, and it can take us to a meditative state very quickly, and especially if you meditate that day, it will take you back to the consciousness that you left from your meditation. It's a double inhale through the nose, and then a slow exhale out of the mouth, and it goes like this. Let's do it again. This is the last time. And this time, as you exhale, just feel your shoulders just relaxing. As that exhale leaves you and just starts going into its own natural breath. Feeling the face relaxing in the scalp, the mouth, the forehead, the throat, shoulders, just breathing in. Down into the chest. Bringing that peace to the arms and the hands, down into the major organs of the body, down into the root chakra, down the thighs, knees, calves, feet, ankles. Just getting comfortable in the breath. Should any thought or feeling or image appear, there is nothing to keep or hold on to from the mind in this moment. They are merely clouds passing. You are not passing. Be aware of this. There is nothing to reach, nothing to create. There's nothing to change. There is nothing to control, nothing to attain or notice. You are not waiting. You are not expecting. You are not striving. What is next for you? Simply by not coming to the sense with anything imagined, any object or thought or feeling here. Here you are in the height of your being, and yet effortless. This is your true place and self. Peace is your fragrance, silence, unbound silence, as you are. How simple. How natural. Awareness never came and can never go. You are the stillness, the heart of all movement, the unchanging inside of the all unchangeable. You may have heard such things. You may have read them even. You are not the ego that moves about the place to place, seemingly intimate. But look, remember, every content life, the dance of life, is not a conflict within you of your own supreme life. Life is blessed. Life is blessed. Life is blessed. Actions, reactions, interactions appear, play, touch the mind, and 1,000 suggestions are born. But you are not this, because the very function of memory is perceived in you. The mind strives to create a perfect image of yourself. What is there to achieve? And God is ever the reality of your heart and being. Recognizing this, the sense of voice, the I am. Here, witnessing of the creation happens spontaneously. Again, you are not creating this within your undisturbable being. Fall in love with yourself, for this self-love is not vanity. Here you are all, everything. And so now let's sit in this everything, basking in the expansion of your highest consciousness, tending to nothingness and feeling the fullness of this loving universe. And we will now go into 7 minutes of silent meditation with the music still playing. Here you are, all, everything. And everything is you. Now we're going to come back into the presence of this room. In the palms of your hands is this powerful energy that has been collected as we've sat in group meditation together. And if there's an area of the body that you're facing a challenge right now, I encourage you to take your hands at this time, put it on this area. See this powerful light, healing light, moving in and through this area of your body, returning this area of your body back to perfect health, back to homeostasis. Back into our laps and see the light that's coming from our hands start to move around this room in a clockwise order till this room is filled with the light that we've all shared, moving in and through each and every one of us as a collective part of this universe, becoming a channel of blessings for others. I'm starting to see this light moving beyond the walls of this building, till this light is enveloping all of Boulder, and then moving beyond Colorado, till it's completely enveloped the entirety of the United States. So we see this light completely surrounding our entire planet, Earth. We see the planet and the Mother Earth healed, that the people may recognize that we are her protector, that she gives us life, water, air. That we are here to protect her, and that we're her adversaries for life here on earth. see all political leaders that are being voted in at these times, and those that are there, that they're restored to the truth, honor, and integrity. That we may have people that care about uniting all of us and stop dividing all of us, so that we may all be one, moving forward for a collective goal of healing for our environment, for 7 generations down the road to have a place to actually exist. So we give thanks for this. We want to bring our energy now to the prayer box that has names that have been submitted, people that are facing challenges right now. And we add all the people on the list that we have for tonight. And we'll say the prayer of protection for those who have submitted their names. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. And the presence of God watches over you. And wherever you are, God is. Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. If I could get a couple volunteers just to pass the baskets. And for those of you online who have enjoyed this guided meditation this evening, you can go to our website at www.unityofboulder.com. Scroll down our homepage to donate now, and you can make a donation for the furtherment of this beautiful center. So let's take our offerings in our hands and bless it with this offering statement. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive because I give.
Only believe, love heals, love, pure love heals. Only believe, love heals, love, pure love heals. Only believe, love heals, love, pure love heals.
I thank you all for coming. I will be leading the meditation service at 9 a.m. on Sunday, and I'll be leading the celebration service at 11 a.m. on Sunday. I always do lead the celebration experience service, so it's more music, it's more lifting, and then I'll be doing the meditation the next Wednesday, so you can't get rid of me. All right, have a beautiful few days, and we'll see you Sunday. Oh, and we have fellowship, we have cookies and tea and stuff in the bookstore, so come join us over there for